Hello planner friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome and thank you for joining me. You may hear my voice is a little hoarse, and that's why I haven't been filming for the last few weeks. Combine a nasty virus with the holidays, and my days were full, and when they weren't full I was busy being sick, so I apologize. I had actually a whole list of videos that I was going to record in December, and I was so excited to record them, and then I got sick, and it was not the C word, but it did knock me on my butt for probably a week to a week and a half, and it was right before Christmas, so I pretty much have spent the last 2 weeks just trying to recover and get better, but I am feeling better, so I thought I would talk with you a little bit about how I ended up 2021 and what I'm planning for 2022. So this is going to be somewhat of a chatty video, and I just want to share a little bit with you about the thoughts that I've had. I've been, as usual, taking some notes, so I have a lot of things here to share with you guys as far as, you know, what I've been thinking about. And one thing about being sick and also not working for the holidays and having a little extra time is that I have been thinking more about my planner setup for the next year, what has worked, what has not worked. And I have, if you've been following my channel, you know I have tried a bunch of different things this year. I just had decided kind of informally that 2021 was going to be the year of trying all the planners that I hadn't tried, just to see where I was, with hopefully the intent of settling on something and staying put. So let me start by just talking about what I used in December, because if you watched my last video, you might have seen a visitation from, where is it? From this little guy, where I talked about I was going to try to use a Wonderland 222. This is the A6 size, and it's a weekly and monthly calendar that's on a heavier weight Tomoe River paper, but it is Tomoe River paper. And I did try this, and it just didn't work. But the lesson that I learned from this, and the thing that I realized from this, is I'm not a vertical planner. I just don't have enough, like my days are taken up by work, the bulk of the day. And this went from, when does it go? It goes from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Well, I'm working for 90% of that time. So I tried, this was one of the first weeks that I used it, and I tried using the timeline. Then the next couple weeks I tried using this in sections. So there are some darker lines here. So I had, like, this was time-bound stuff. This was important for the day. This was time-bound. This was going to be daily tasks and notes. And even with that, it just didn't work for my brain. And I was trying to force it. And I just feel like if you're trying to force something, then you should just move on. So I did buy the B6 in this as well. I have listed that for sale. And I'm just going to, actually what I did was I harvested from here. I ripped out, don't yell at me, but I ripped out the January through March monthlies, and I taped them into my Stalogy that I have, so that I can use this like a bullet journal. Sorry about that. Use this like a bullet journal, and I'm not wasting the things that I did like about the Wonderland, which I did like the monthly calendars. There were a few other things in here that I did like. I haven't figured out yet if I will harvest this or not, but I did like this quarterly overview, but I can't figure out how I would tear that out without just taping this whole section. I'd have to tape that whole thing in, because they're back to back, and I hadn't figured that out yet. So I may just borrow the idea of it and redraw it if I'd go into my Stalogy. But lesson learned, this is a very nice planner, a very nice quality planner, but the style of planning, the vertical planning, is just not what works for me. So I did use this for a couple of weeks in December, kind of in parallel to the Wonderland, and put this on the shelf at the end of the month. But like I said, I have January through March in here, and I thought that I would probably be able to use this. So that leads me to another thing that I learned, and that is that I really, really like the A6 size. This is my A6 Moterm planner that I've used an A6 rings for most of the year last year, and this was one of my most recent purchases, and I'll be honest with you, I absolutely love this planner. I love the color, I love the pocket configuration, the size, everything. So I have my January pages in here. I have not set them up yet because I haven't been feeling good, but they are in here. And this is the DIY fish inserts that I have used for years and years and years. I have gotten some other things here. This is from DIY Fish. That's a year, it's a fold out for the year, kind of like the Hobonichi style, that I have in here that I haven't done anything with this stuff yet, but I'll just show you. I also have, this is from Plan with Bee. This is a holidays freebie that she had. This is birthdays, that's from last year, Paper Penguin Co. Peanuts Planner Co. Sorry, Peanuts Planner Co. And then here's my monthly from the DIY Fish insert. So I have through May in here, so basically the balance of the school year. And I figure that my daughter's graduating in May, and so I wanted to have at least that much in here, but I didn't need to have the whole year, so I just printed out the first 5 months, and I can always add as I go. Nothing else has changed in here, and I probably will be using this planner a lot this year just because, like I said, I love it so much. But I will show you what I ended up finishing out December with. And if you've seen my Instagram, you probably already know this, but this is what I ended up in December. Now, she's had several costume changes this month. This is Matilda. Say hi to Matilda, everybody. Matilda says hi. That's what I've always called my personal size ring planner. I have been a personal size ring planner for, I don't know, probably 20 years, maybe longer that I've had them. Used to use Franklin Covey, still have some Franklin Covey covers actually, and then moved into Filofax probably 10 years ago. So this is a Moterm that I bought, I think 3 or 4 years ago, back before Moterms were cool, so to speak. And it's in a blue cover that I just really, really love. So it's very squishy. Doesn't have any of the stiffeners or anything that I think they had in some of the later models, but this one is really nice. I also had bought it in red and I sold it, and that's another one of those planner regrets that I have. But basically the setup in here is identical to the setup in here. The only difference is this is personal rings, this is A6. And as I've heard several other planner people say, Carrie Harling being one, that if you have a system that works for you, you can do that. You can move back and forth between different sizes, between different rings or TN or whatever, because the system works. And I have a system that works. And one of the other lessons learned in 2021 is that rings are my thing. I like rings as much as I want to use a bound book. Rings are what makes me happy, and so that's where I'm going to focus my efforts for 2022 is in rings. And so I'll either be in the A6 rings or in the personal rings, one or the two, but this is pretty much identical in terms of the setup. It is a little bit more fleshed out because I have been using it. So I'll film a flip of this shortly and show you guys how that is set up. As far as what else I have in the hopper for 2022, I have been really wrestling with multiple different things. And again, I have said I'm a ring planner. That's where I'm happiest. I thought about getting, and I have purchased a Hobonichi English A6 to use like I did this past year as a journal and memory thing. I against my original plans, I purchased the Hobonichi Avec, A5 Avec, thinking that I would use that. So one of those two will be the journaling memory keeping choice for the year. I'm just not sure which one yet. Haven't broken the seal on either one of the packages. And I'm just trying to finish up my A6 for 2021 with the journaling and things like that, and decide. Right now I'm leaning towards the A5 just because it gives me more room for pictures and writing and a bigger, you know, surface to work on. But I haven't decided yet, because one of the nice things about the A6 size is the portability and the fact that you don't have this gigantic page to fill. It's half as much space to fill. So if it's just a boring everyday day, you know, a Tuesday in March where nothing's happening, you don't feel bad because you haven't filled the page. So anyway, the other thing that I used quite a bit in 2021 was this Hobonichi Weeks. This actually was my ride or die for January, February, and March. And then I used it sporadically, intermingled with the A6 rings last year. And when I was using it, for the most part, I loved it. And then I would just all of a sudden one day decide it was too skinny, too small, whatever, the page color bothered me or whatever, and I would put it away and go back into my A6 rings. So I did go ahead and buy another Weeks for the year for 2022 when I was ordering back in September, with the intention of having it kind of as a backup plan. And so I've vacillated back and forth between, what do I want to do? Do I want to use one? Do I not want to use one? These are so nice when you're traveling or you're in and out of the house to just chuck it in your purse. And I've got one now from 2016 to 21. So I really feel like it's nice to have. And I like that I can flip through quickly and find doctor's appointments and, notes and things like that. This is a Mega. I've had the Mega the last few years and I really like the Mega. But what I ended up going with this for 2022 is this, it's not a Mega. This is the Liberty Weeks. And quite honestly, it was the floral, it's just so beautiful. And look how pretty it is in this Gillio gold that I have. I mean, it almost looks like they were made to go together. So I haven't done anything yet to set this up other than literally move my little page flags over, and that's all. I did discontinue my Cocoa Daisy subscription. I've decided to just really downsize my purchases and acquisitions for next year and try to use things that I already have and be a lot more minimalist in my approach to planning. So now that I have kind of chosen the planners, I'm really going to probably just be pen and highlighter, maybe some minimal washi tape, but that's really all I'm planning to do. I love Cocoa Daisy, but I've been a subscriber of Cocoa Daisy's from the very first time they ever had planner stuff. That was the first time I subscribed. So I have literally a huge Rubbermaid full of previous years kits and things like that. And when I started to gather all that stuff together last fall, I realized that I just had so much stuff I needed to use up rather than continuing to buy more. So if I do any decorating next year, I will just use what I have. But I'm actually kind of looking forward to not being constrained to a theme that somebody else thought of, and really just focusing on functionality and tracking and things like that. So, yeah, this is not a Mega. I have very mixed feelings about it. But if I'm not doing bullet journaling in the back like I did in this one, I did do bullet journaling in the back here. For most of the year, and I liked it when I was doing it. But if I'm not doing that, I don't know that I need the Mega, and so I'm gonna give it a try and see how it goes. I also am repurposing this little notebook. This is a Hobonichi notebook that I've been carrying for several years, And in here, I have already gotten some of my collections. And see, this goes back to when I had foot surgery 3 years ago. So that's how long I've been carrying this little notebook around. But here's 2020 books and movies. Here's my mom had surgery in 2020, 2021 movies and books. So I'm just going to turn the page and put in the 2022 movies and books and just keep filling this up. I think it has 20 pages or something like that. So I figured rather than worrying about using up pages back here, that I would just continue this little guy. And then if I decided that I wanted to move into my A6 rings, he could slip in there as well. And if I decided that I wanted to use my A6 Stalogy, he fits as well. So the thought was if I use this little notebook, then those types of things would be in one place regardless of which one of the planners I'm using. Now, going back to my earlier comment about I have a system and I can move from planner to planner. How does that work going into the Hobonichi if I'm going to use this as a planner? Well, if you look at the pages that I use, the DIY fish pages, let me just flip to a week. So here's a week. You can see that the layout is almost the same. So you've got your weekdays here, you've got your blank page on the side, just like I have here. And I even draw a line here to section this off, just like you have this invisible line here. So it's very easy for me to move between the three, the personal rings, the A6 rings, and the Hobonichi Weeks. So that's my plan right now for 2022, is that I will be in between these planners, probably primarily the rings, and right now primarily in the personal rings. And then this will be an alternative for me to use if for some reason I get annoyed with the rings and want to move out. Now, all the stuff that I have back here in the back sections of my rings, I probably won't transfer over to the Hobonichi Weeks, especially because I'm not using a mega. I'll probably just keep this stuff in my rings as a reference. And really and truly, if I'm using the weeks, I'll probably only use it for my monthly and weekly planning. You know, the fact that it's portable, and if you take it out of this Gilio, it's even more, you know, thin, especially because it's not a mega. So that's my thought, is that rings will stay at a minimum as a reference planner if I decide I want to use the Hobonichi, but right now this is my ride or die, and the personal size in particular, although this beautiful girl that needs a name to go with Matilda will probably be in rotation as well. So that is all I have for you for right now. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments, what are you using for 2022? What did you ultimately end up on? Or are you still waffling and trying to decide between different planners? If you need some suggestions or ideas, there are videos in my channel in the past where I was using this particular Hobonichi Weeks and as a bullet journal and as a very minimal planner, as well as my ring setup. And I think I even had, I may have even had my bullet journal stuff in there. I can't remember now. So feel free to take a look at those. But I'd be very interested to hear what your planner choices are for 2022. Thanks, everybody. Please consider giving this a thumbs up, and I hope you'll subscribe so that you will get updated on the next video when it's loaded. Have a great day. Bye.